Hello and how are you? I hope that you are doing well. This is a PhD candidate at the Libyan Academy, Janzour, and this is part of my second language acquisition course. Let me first present myself. My name is Hiam Graf, and I am a lecturer at Sabrata University, specifically at Surman College, and of course, I am an English language teacher. Today I'm going to talk about the universal hypothesis and its relation to second language acquisition from the source of Rod Ellis 1985. And let me start my presentation by examining these two sentences. So we gave the book to the girl. We explained the girl the answer. Before I explain anything, I want you to look at these two sentences. Tell me which one is grammatically correct. So now let me show you another version of that sentences. We gave the book to the girl. We gave the girl the book. We explained the girl the answer. We explained the answer to the girl. Of course, most of you have the feeling that this sentence is grammatically correct or not. So, how do you know that these sentences are correct or wrong? So, did anyone ever teach you this rule explicitly? From here, Chomsky has created the idea of the innate grammatical principles that guide our language learning. So even without being taught the rule, we know that the verb give and explain behave in a different way in the sentence. So this knowledge doesn't come only from the input, it comes from the internal grammatical systems that we have. In second language acquisition, learners may also rely on their innateness or on their innate principles. However, the influence of the first language and the limited access to the universal grammar can make some structures harder to acquire than others. I hope that you got the idea now. Let me go in details to talk about our presentation today. So, today we are going to know how human beings are able to acquire the complex grammatical systems. So we are not just going to talk about the surface grammar or the simple one. And also we are going to understand what does mean universal grammar, and we are going to identify the properties of the properties that all languages share. Of course, when we are talking about the universal grammar, we have to mention Noam Chomsky and Greenberg, in which he talked about the typological universals. So, in this presentation, we are going to explain both approaches and show how they relate to first language acquisition and second language acquisition. So, let me start by explaining the two approaches and starting with the universal grammar of Chomskyan approach. As it shows here, according to Noam Chomsky, universals are not discovered by simply comparing many languages on the surface. Instead, they are discovered through deep and detailed analysis of individual languages. Chomsky is not interested in the surface similarities, like the word order only. His goal is to uncover the abstract grammatical principles. So this means that exist all the principles that is existed in the human mind and constrain all human languages. Universal grammar is defined by Chomsky as the innate linguistic knowledge that all human beings are born with. It doesn't consist of specific rules of English, Arabic, or French. Instead, it focuses on the general principles that apply to all languages. So, in simple terms, UG makes language learning possible. While the typological universal, which is Greenbergian approach and the scholars that follow him, associated with many languages at the same time, so often from different language families. They compare these languages to find recurring patterns and regularities. The universals discovered in this way are called typological universals. So this approach is more empirical and descriptive, focusing on what languages actually look like across the world. Let's move to talk about universal grammar and the poverty of stimulus. One of the strongest arguments for universal grammar is the poverty of stimulus argument. This argument says that the linguistic input children receive is not enough to explain how they acquire full grammatical competence. So as shown here in the picture, more outside, it doesn't mean that the child constructed a full grammatical sentence which is grammatically correct, but the child is still trying to make the meaning he needs clear. So the poverty of stimulus argument means that the linguistic input the children receive is not always enough for them to acquire the complex grammatical structures. Let's move now to talk about what Flex in 1984 said about these mistakes made by the children. So some children have these mistakes because of some grammatical structures are rare, and this means that they are not widely used in everyday language, so they are not facing these types of grammatical structures every day. Number two, sometimes children do not receive explicit correction. So sometimes the caretaker doesn't correct every mistake the child makes. So by time they don't consider that this is a mistake. Grammatical rules are abstract and cannot be derived directly from the surface form. So there are some complex structures which goes beyond the understanding of the children, and that is why they fossilize it or they are not corrected and children keep using these mistakes. So Chomsky argues that children must rely on the innate principles that constrains the hypothesis they can from about the language. This is the argument that Flex make regarding the mistakes that the children usually have. Let us watch a video explaining A caretaker, which is a mother, how she corrects her daughter's mistakes.
He went to the store? Yeah! And what did he do at the store? Get some stuff. He got some stuff? Yeah! What did he get? He got hair.
So we saw how the mom kept correcting her child implicitly. So the child recognized that we have to make the verb in the past because the action